I never thought I would be someone in the Sonic fandom to be into a original character who makes music. So as you guys know, a few months ago, I reacted to Ozkar Wylde's first single, Absolution, from YouTube, which was basically the worldwide premiere of Ozkar the Hedgehog, aka Ozkar Wylde, aka Bentley Jones OC. Now, I decided I wanted to use this video as an opportunity to talk about the lore of Ozkar the Hedgehog and talk about the music he makes, like his origins, what he does, and what could possibly be expanded for his character in the future. Now, disclaimer, I'm not the one who created the character, so it's not really up to me to come up with the lore of Ozkar. It's more so up to Bentley to come up with the lore of the character because that character belongs to him. But anyways, let's get into who Ozkar the Hedgehog is. So to start off, where did Ozkar the Hedgehog come from? Not specifically what world he came from, but rather the concept of the character. So for about 3 months, music artist Bentley Jones decided to come up with this original character, and I don't know specifically who Ozkar is based off of. I know he's an original character, aka like OC, because OC stands for original character, which was a big thing back in the 2000s and 2010s in the Sonic fandom, and it's still a thing today, but I didn't think any like official Sonic music artists would actually make their own OC. So when Ozkar was created, it was a bit of a struggle to actually create the character, but throughout the course of 3 months, Bentley was finally able to finish off this character, and then would later evolve to do Blender animation and like translate Ozkar into 3D, which was a hassle. I can't specifically say who Ozkar is based off of, whether it is based off of Silver the Hedgehog, which honestly wouldn't be a surprise considering that this original character was made by the same person who wrote Silver's theme song. But at first when I saw Ozkar, I wasn't sure who he was or anything, because I saw throughout social media like teases of this character a little bit here and there. When Live and Learn, the Ozkar Wylde remix came out, that was actually my first time I actually saw Ozkar. And when that remix was released back in late 2024, I wasn't sure who the heck the character was or anything. I mean, I should have taken the title as a hint, but Live and Learn, Ozkar Wylde's version, is basically a remix version of the visualizer version of Live and Learn that was released in the middle of 2024, which I made a little short video on, so if you want to check it out, you can check it out. But that was basically the first time of me seeing Ozkar myself, and little by little throughout 2025 we would see more of him. So outside of that one remix video, we also got to see little teases of him when he was advertising the Absolution show that happened back in March, which was a show that was performed in the UK. It was called Absolution, a Sonic concert, and it was also another tease of the character, which again, didn't know much about the character. And might I tell you that Ozkar is not an alternate version of Silver the Hedgehog. It may seem that way, but he's not like, you know, the pop star or rock star version of Silver. He is a completely different character, and I will later get into him being friends with Silver when I get into the lore. But anyways, back to the teasers. So he was teased throughout various art in early 2025, and later on in the middle of the year, we would actually get to see the debut of him. So before we get into Ozkar's debut in America, let's talk about the lore of Ozkar so far that was revealed back in the beginning of 2025 before his character was later expanded. So on Bentley Jones' website, Ozkar the Hedgehog officially has a character bio, and it talks about how he is a hedgehog from the future. Sound familiar? And he likes to find artifacts that come from the past, and this was also discussed when he debuted in America, where Bentley talked to the audience about the creation of the character and his lore. About how one day Ozkar comes across a 1960s style microphone, and his friend Silver is able to give the microphone powers, which allows Ozkar to make music and send it back into the past for us in the present timeline to enjoy. So Ozkar makes music and sends it back in time for us to enjoy. So I must mention now that Ozkar, as of this moment, or as of right now, does not have the ability to time travel himself. He cannot travel back in time or use psychic powers. He doesn't have those abilities, but the character himself expresses about how he wants to find a way to travel back through time, but we will get into that piece of lore later. So let's talk about Ozkar's debut in North America. So months after Absolution happened in the UK, Absolution, the song, not the actual concert name in the UK, Absolution made its debut in America at the recent Sonic Neon Summit that happened back in June. And this is because Bentley Jones actually got to attend the event. It was an event that was held in Reno, Nevada, aka the same place where the Knuckles show was filmed. So this was basically a first-year convention that happened and stuff, and they were able to get Bentley Jones to perform at Neon Summit. Yay! Another event that I could not attend, sadly. But anyways, Bentley describes the lore of the character, like the same exact lore that I just described, and talked about how the development of the character was kind of difficult to do, especially when trying to translate the character into 3D, but later came across people who did Blender animation to try and do it, or look into Blender animation. I can't specifically remember, but this is where we would come across the 3D models of Ozkar that we would see pop up in various videos, whether it's from his debut single Absolution or recent songs released. Now, I gotta be honest, I was kind of mixed on the 3D model when it was first teased, but I later grew to like it, and it was described about how Ozkar's 3D model will evolve through time and will go through various changes, as it was stated in the pinned comment of the Absolution video. So it's not like the current 3D model is going to stay like that permanently, it will go through various changes. So at Neon Summit, the music video for Absolution debuted. So that was basically the first debut of Ozkar in America. And I did not get to see Absolution live at Neon Summit because I didn't attend Neon Summit. I didn't get to watch Absolution until July, weeks after Neon Summit happened, and I reacted to it on YouTube, which if you want to check out my reaction, it's linked in the description below. So if you want to check it out, you can check it out after you watch this video, or if you want to come back to it and then watch that, you can go right ahead. So Absolution is actually a pretty good song. I feel like it takes inspiration from Dreams of an Absolution in a way, which is another thing that I'm going to mention. So in Ozkar's bio, it also explains about how the different kinds of music he writes and makes, whether it's writing about songs having to do with his friends Silver and Blaze, or finding old songs from the past and making a new spin on them, similar to the Live and Learn Ozkar Wylde remix. So it's he'll take older versions of songs, and then remix them to have this new futuristic vibe to it, I guess. And with making original songs, Absolution was of course his first single, if you want to refer to it as that. And I bet it probably takes inspiration from Dreams of an Absolution because some of the lyrics refer to it. And it features Brayton Boy, who is another music artist who he does rapping and stuff and everything, and he was featured in the Absolution music video. And the Absolution music video would also first debut the 3D model of Ozkar in full, fully animated and stuff, which again, I mentioned about how I was mixed on it at first, but later grew on to like it. Because throughout social media, when it was teased, I was mentioning how I was looking forward to Absolution on Friday, when it got released on Friday, July 4th. And when it was teased saying, who's ready for Absolution, I just put me and a silver gift, because you know me being the silver fangirl I am. And funny thing, Ozkar actually replied and said, my bestie, yes, small content creator's existence is acknowledged. And I even got a few likes from Bentley himself when it comes to some of my comments through his social media page. So my existence is acknowledged as a small content creator. But anyways, When I checked out Absolution, I found it to be a pretty good song overall, but that wasn't all for Ozkar the Hedgehog, because he would later make a few other tracks, such as Nightlight, which was released recently, and would also be featured on the covers of newer music, such as the Eggman remix remaster, along with the visualizer version of Dreams of an Absolution. Yes, I had to mention my absolute favorite song. But anyways, Ozkar would get featured on covers, and on one cover for the Eggman remix, you know, the I Am the Eggman music, which, little fact, that was actually the very first thing that Bentley worked on for Shadow the Hedgehog back in 2005. That was like 20 years ago, and that wasn't even like, it didn't have any like vocals or anything, but then 20 years later, it was finally remastered and remade, so we actually get all the lyrics to it. So let's call this the silversified version of Eggman. It seems like every single Bentley Jones track I listen to, I associate it with a Silver song, because obvious reasons, Dreams of an Absolution. So on the YouTube cover of the track Eggman, you have Ozkar doing this pose, like the pointing back pose. I will provide stock image of what meme that is, pointing to a poster that says "He's always watching," which is talking about Eggman. Now keep in mind, Ozkar is from like long after our time, even after Sonic's time, similar to Silver, and it's expressed through various comments because Ozkar actually has a social media, and it's operated to make it like, it gives the impression that Ozkar is actually real, which I know he's a fictional character and everything, but it's actually kind of fun to treat it as if he's like a real like character in real life, and talks about how he's never like heard of Eggman, he's only heard legends, and was glad that the Resistance was actually able to take out Eggman. So he's like long after Sonic timeline, similar to Silver, but he expresses about how he wants the ability to go to the past, which might tease something later on, because in the audio for like Nightlight, which I will draw the connections with Dreams of an Absolution in a little bit because it has lyrics that relate to it, but Ozkar comes about how he wants the ability to travel back through time because, as I stated earlier, he currently does not have that ability. All he can do is send his music back in the past, not himself, because he hasn't figured it out yet. But I bet it could tease something more like later on down the line, because Nightlight was made to be the theme of SonicCon UK 2025, which is happening next month in November. I'm not a United Kingdom resident, so I can't go to that either. But anyways, the song Nightlight, it takes like lyrics from Dreams of an Absolution, because if you think about it, in the Nightlight, do you see what you dream? I bet Ozkar probably takes inspiration from Dreams of an Absolution, takes those lyrics and then makes it like his own song, to where it's not like a copy of the song, but it's like a completely original like piece that he makes. So he takes inspiration from that, like when he talks about when he writes stuff about Silver and Blaze, which I bet Ozkar will probably release more original music soon. It depends, because lately it seems that we're getting more uploads, because Ozkar is probably like one of the biggest projects that has been like done. I mean, I can't say I'm one of those like longtime Sonic fans that knows about everything, but it's probably like one of the biggest things that Bentley is promoting right now in terms of like music and stuff, because you're seeing like various uploads like almost every few weeks and stuff. So I'm actually pretty interested in what kind of music Ozkar could release, which I know I'm jumping from one topic to the other, but it brings me to my next bit, being the songs from Music from the Sonicverse Volume 1. So Absolution, Music from the Sonicverse is an album that can be purchased that has all the songs that were performed from Absolution, including tracks that were not like announced yet, because at the moment, like at the time it was being teased for the Absolution show in the UK. It was teased about how there were going to be songs, like completely different songs that have not been announced, so they were being kept secret until the middle of this year, which makes me believe that they were possibly performed or debuted in the Absolution show in the UK, and then in America at Sonic NES Summit. So maybe the UK actually got the debut of Ozkar first, and then America did. I'm not like fully sure exactly what the case is, but I kind of have that theory because when you think about it, Absolution and like Absolution music from the Sonic verse and the Absolution name of the concert, like it like all has like connection with each other and stuff. Because maybe that was Ozkar's big debut, possibly. I'm not really sure, but wouldn't be surprised it was. And also, Volume 2 is going to be coming out, so we're probably going to get even more tracks of that, which the Absolution first, like, album of it, the first volume, had, like, the first few tracks that were made, like, remade tracks of all of Bentley's music from Sonic songs, including the original songs such as Absolution, and a few others that I will not list off in case of if those are going to get released anytime soon, so I won't give those away. I can't even remember the names of them other than Absolution, but that was like, I'm guessing, the first tease of it, which again, I'm just theorizing, but it's a possibility. So Ozkar the Hedgehog would actually get a lot of praise online and would even get fan art dedicated to him, where he had various artists who would actually make full body drawings of Ozkar, and I actually hopped onto this train, which it was quite later, but I actually made a piece myself, which I will show on screen, which, yes, it's not perfect, and sure, it's only the face or the head of him, but it was actually a pain to draw, which was like something I was thinking to myself, was like Bentley had thought this was a pain to draw, but then like kept going and stuff like that, and it took a process of 3 months to try to do, which either is the drawing process or the 3D process, but it was a bit of a difficulty to try to draw Ozkar, but I did it, and like I intend on probably making a few more pieces. I'm not like a digital artist like by any means, but like I could probably do like on sketch and then maybe take that, pick and trace it, because I even was able to find someone online who actually did draw a piece, a speed paint of Ozkar, which I'm not going to copy off of that one obviously, but it's kind of an idea of how like digital art kind of works in a way. But Ozkar would get a lot of praise, and currently he's quite popular amongst the people who follow Bentley and stuff, myself included. I didn't think that I was going to be one invested in Ozkar, but actually I am. I even say so in my bio that I'm enjoying his music and stuff. Now, this video wasn't really specifically meant to be like a structured dive into Ozkar the Hedgehog. It kind of was, but then it kind of turned into me jumping all over the place. But as for what the future holds, pun not intended, for Ozkar the Hedgehog, I assume that Bentley will probably end up expanding more of the character's lore, as I'm not the one coming up with the lore for the character. He is. It's solely up to the creator. Like when it comes to original characters like OCs, it's up to like the creators to come up with their origins, their stories, their lore. Which even Ozkar on social media mentions Bentley as his creator and stuff. So as for lore, I really don't like know what to expect. Again, we just have to wait and see what he'll be. But I'm guessing maybe like more world expanding, talking about his music, the possibility of him like traveling back in time if he could figure out a way. Maybe possibly Silver can show him how to time travel. I'm not sure, considering that Silver's like his best friend. I mean, heck, he referred to him as his bestie on social media to me. And we don't know specifically what world Ozkar comes from, because it's mentioned a world not yet known, which it's from the future, but we don't specifically know what world. It's not like, I don't think it's necessarily Crisis City or anything like that. It might be, but again, not the one coming up with it. But all we could really do is wait and see what could be expanded for this character, and see what other music he releases over who knows how long, because I'm not sure how long this character is going to be going. It might be for a while, possibly. I'm not sure if it's going to be like a year, 2 years, 5 years. All we can do is wait and see what the creator comes up with, and whether or not he still wants to follow through with his original character. So that concludes my scattered review of Ozkar the Hedgehog, or deep dive into Ozkar lore. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Feel free to comment down below what you think of the original character and what you think of his music, which I'm going to put links of his music in the description below, whether it's his music or just remade music that Bentley has made, so you can see, of course, the 3D model and stuff, so you can give me feedback on what you think of the character, and feel free to mention what you'd like to see with this character next in terms of lore, which again is up to the creator, but I'm curious on what your ideas may be for this character in the future. So I hope you guys enjoy this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you later.